Welcome to a new spirit that will warm your heart. Welcome to a new spirit. Every day's a brand new start. Where encouraging words can heal your soul and dreams will be renewed. Welcome to a new spirit, a new spirit in you.
Cancer, AIDS, MS, oh my! Welcome to the New Spirit Radio Show by the Society of Novus Spiritus, founded by world-renowned spiritual teacher Sylvia Browne. Today's date, I sure hope we all agree it's October 26th, because that's what my computer says, of 2022. Coming to you live from California, both NorCal and SoCal are your hosts, Reverend Tom Bigley and MIT Catherine Taylor. Playing audio segments we call Messages from Spirit. Why? Answering the ultimate question, why are we here and what is our purpose?
These segments are recorded trance sessions from Francine, Sylvia's spirit guide. So for new people, Sylvia was a full trance medium, which means Sylvia contracted to let her and Francine's essences exchange places in Sylvia's body. And we think of our bodies being similar to a car, where one driver gets out and another driver gets in. This allowed Francine to share spiritual knowledge with us directly from the other side.
On occasion, another master teacher and healer, a guide named Rahim, would exchange with Sylvia and present us with spiritual information as well. Francine and Rahim shared directly from sources like the Akashic Records, Mother and Father God, our spirit guides, Christ, and many others.
And then meanwhile, during trance, Sylvia would sit on a nice bench in a rose garden on the other side.
And here are our hosts, MIT Catherine Taylor and Reverend Tom Bigley.
Hello!
Hey. I
thought
it was going to be doing well. I thought we were going to have a hot mess because I got here 15 minutes late, and somehow I managed to organize everything like ahead of time. So cool. What about you? Are you getting strangled in the feet by cats, or how's that? Because
Yeah. So for the past hour, Floofy and Java, our two cats, have been roughhousing all around our very small apartment. So if you hear chaos going on suddenly in the background, that's what's going on. They're just singing the song of their people. They're good.
All right.
Hopefully, someone will come over to say hi.
As long as there's no what's the fur bunnies fly by or any books fall down off the shelf behind you, I think we'll be okay.
Oh, I agree. I think we'll be okay.
Real quick for new people, yes, we do have an agenda. Like most organizations typically have an agenda. We love to share. We start out by sharing how did you use Novus Spiritus philosophy last week. And for everybody else that knows about this, start writing your comments. We love to share those and we'll share. I guess that's how we do that. Then we follow up with, I'll talk about some announcements. We have special prayers you can participate in or put in a special prayer. Then we share the trance segments. We get to participate in a meditation. I'll talk about some closing notes. Watch and participate in the novena. Bless you, the special prayer ceremony. And then I share about some appreciation, what we might want to be appreciative of. And then we conclude with a prayer by Sylvia. So next on the agenda. Hold your ears. Got it. So we'd like to light a candle. Let's see. So who's going first? You, me, or rock, scissors, paper?
Let's do rock, scissors, paper today.
Okay. Let's see how we can. All right. Ready? Rock, scissors, paper.
Oh no, it's pie.
Scissors. Okay. Rock, scissors, paper.
Oh, you pick.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go.
Awesome.
Let's see. if I can find my materials here. Okay, so I'll do it. I just made notes, so I'm reading from my notes here, so I can do what I can to paraphrase, or well, kind of contain this, as it were. So I was thinking about emotion and intellect, where we talk about, we ask every day to cement our emotion and intellect. And I recall in the past, because several things have come up for me that I've been thinking about, okay, am I cementing my own emotion and intellect? And in the past, Francine had told me, yeah, she told me that I have the cart before the horse. And my understanding of that is emotion is the mover, the horse is the mover. How do you get the horse in front of the cart? So that's what I've been asking for is, hey, how do I get the horse in front of the cart? I'm doing what I can. I was reflecting on, I think my notes here is telling me that I was reflecting on a choice, which, choices are from emotion. When I dress, there's very little choice. I have a row of the same pants. I have a row of the same shirts, just different colors organized for, a different color each day. When I eat, I organized to, grab heat. What did I write? When I eat, what I eat is organized. See, I'm excited and having a hard time reading here. What I eat is organized to grab and heat the same thing and go. So I don't have a stop and think and make a choice, which in some sense, that's helpful because then I'm not stopping and worrying about, okay, what am I going to do? What do I want to do? And but it's like, okay, but it's the same thing every day. So I'm not, I've sort of been cogitating, hey, do I need to really organize or express my emotion, use my emotions at those times, for picking and choosing and moving forward. So it's an organizational thing, but also I've been thinking, okay, am I getting my emotions out enough? Oh, the other one was because on some of the videos that I've been trying to do, talking about trying to do videos talking about the economy and what's going on with housing and those kind of things. I kind of see myself looking back, and I could be just super critical, but I see myself as like, deer in the headlights kind of thing on my face. I'm, and it's a challenge for me to read versus memorize and say say what I need to say kind of thing. So that's what I'm having a challenge with. And I'm like, okay, how do I get the horse in front of the cart in this instance? So does that kind of make some sense or
It
thought,
does.
or that's what
It
I've been
does.
thinking about?
Yeah, no, it really does. Like how sometimes, because I think I can reflect on something similar to that, where sometimes like you intellectually like make a plan and say like, all right, how do I get this plan? But it does take that emotion and allowing us to feel the moment in order to build up the motivation to move through with it. Kind of. That's my relation to that. So yeah, no, it absolutely makes sense. It absolutely makes sense.
Cool.
Cool.
All right.
Very cool. Well, I suppose it is my turn. And in the meantime, please share, anyone who's listening, please share what you used of Novus philosophy over the last week, because we love reading your stories. It's so interesting to have this share time. So I'll say for myself, I have been feeling really, really good over this past week. And I think I'm just really, really excited about like the positive gains that I've gotten from getting my diet back into a better space, and yeah, mood in a better place as a result. So that's all been great. So I've spent some time just like meditating and thinking, and I was thinking about like kind of the nature of our love for God, and like my love for God, and how we say during the novena, like, I am God, I am part of God, I am God, all things are possible because I'm God.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just thinking about how, I was just reflecting on how it is, generally speaking, very difficult for people to work on the practice of loving themselves. And yet it comes so easy to say, I love my loved ones, or I love God.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, so I was just thinking about how it's so much like, it's a very natural and okay progression to let go of all of these, like, to just by saying, like, all right, I have a difficult time with saying, like, I love myself in the following ways. If I were to sit down and think about all those little things, it's going to give me clues on what I can work on next, so that it's just like one more behavioral overlay gone, one more barb
Cool.
gone, one more thing gone, because it by necessity has to be the case where we have to be able to love ourselves, because we are part of God and God made us, and God doesn't create trash. People create trash, is what Sylvia says. So, so yeah, I was just thinking about that, and how like it is an inevitability that we all have to work on having a very genuine appreciation and estimation of ourselves, and that is okay. And it doesn't mean that we are falling victim to pride or arrogance or false ego. It's just having appreciation for what God made, and that's pretty cool. So I was thinking about that.
Yeah, that's a challenge. I want to say spiritual challenge, but that's kind of emotional reflection and identifying, oh, okay, this is this behavior, that behavior, and what's right, what is it, and what are my lessons that go with that, and reminding ourselves not to keep beat ourselves up. Remind ourselves are like,
Exactly. just yeah, because I've been trying to get into the mindset of seeing things accurately, and I also want to see myself in my own actions accurately.
yeah, there you
And
go.
so if I have made a mistake, I want to see it accurately and not beat myself up excessively, just to be
There
like,
you go. Or reflect on it without so much judgment.
yeah, exactly.
Reduce the amount of judgment on it, because that's what I've done for like
True.
several years, and it's like now it's like, okay, now I'm tired of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's gotten me tired, and so I'm tired of it. How do I do it different? So I'm
Yeah.
not so but it's those are the things you got to recognize for yourself, and then ask, how can I do this different?
Yeah. And that's I mean, that's that's like the thing to do. It, like, that is what the whole learning experience is about anyway. It's just like, all right, what do I do different next time? And that's fine. It's absolutely fine. It means you've learned. And yeah. So anyway, that was what I was reflecting on this week. And I find myself just becoming more and more. It's interesting that you said, like, non-judgmental about yourself. I found myself, like, in the process becoming less judgmental of other people's mistakes.
Bingo.
And it's easier to say, like, this intentional creation of God has made their mistakes, and they are learning on their path, and that is okay. It's not my path to freak out about.
Yeah.
I wish you well. And maybe I have nothing for you because I don't like you. It's okay. It's okay.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes.
We're not supposed to like everybody. It's okay.
Right.
But I can have genuine love for other people. That's what we can do. So anyway, well, we have some comments. Would you like to hear about what are...
No.
Me neither. Happy Halloween. Trick or treat. Apparently we giving out tricks today from Tom. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So we
wonderful. We love everyone's comments. Happy Halloween to everybody. Also, super quick fact about Halloween, for anyone who doesn't know this. Halloween is a Gnostic tradition, actually, that started in it started from a place of being like, I'm going to dress up as my past life in order to get rid of any carryovers that I might have from my past life. And so it was meant to be that tradition. That's what Francine was told us about one time in a trance. And so it's just something really neat and interesting to think about. I know that there's, lots of commentary these days about, being respectful of other cultures and not engaging in cultural appropriation and whatnot. So obviously we want to be respectful of the other people that we live around, but it is something interesting to think about. So I plan on doing some visualization meditations on Halloween of some past life cultures in order to get rid of some of those things. And so Francine's actually going to talk really intensively today about past lives and carryovers from past lives. So all of this fits together really, really nicely. So it'll be a good show today. Great conversation. Can't wait. So some of our comments of what did you use of Novus philosophy? Sherry says, I placed some people in a lead box and kept their negativity inside it, and they have not been complaining and not spreading negativity to me. Wonderful. So glad to hear it. Ramona says, hi, Kat and Tom. Hello. And everyone that makes this possible. Much appreciation and respect. Much appreciation right back at you, girlfriend. Julie says, hello from Hooks, Texas. Hi. Nice that you're here. Nice everyone here. Naomi says, my cat passed away this week. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, it was rough. I read Sylvia Browne's book, All Pets Go to Heaven. And I also found a dime on the street, which I asked for as a sign that she's okay in heaven. I'm happy that you got that validation. That's really, really good. We'll keep you and your furry loved one in our thoughts and prayers. For real thoughts and prayers. Absolutely. Okay. Let's see here. Other comments we have. Aaron says, I've always found that after the show, I always sleep better. Me too. That's great.
Wow.
Great. And then Naomi says again, thank you. I loved her so much. I think in time I will go get another cat to love from the animal shelter. Awesome. Within says, I've been noticing God's presence in my family. Oh.
Interesting.
That's happy. That is interesting.
Curious how that what is it that you recognize? What is it that was evidence for you?
Yeah. Be interested to hear if you have more to say. So, and as always, if anyone has any more comments, please feel free to share. And otherwise, I guess we can move on to whatever is next. Reverend Tom?
See. Yes. We did that. Oh, so just some quick announcements. Reminding people, hey, share, promote, like, subscribe, click the bell, and when you can, donate as best you can to help keep these activities moving forward. And let's see. A fun trivia note for those that do watch the intro, because when you get notified, I'm not sure how you guys get notified, but yes, there is a photo in there that's identifying Francine and Raheem. Well, in essence, yes, it's Sylvia's physical body, but it was supposed to identify that, hey, that different times it'll be Francine or Raheem. And I just happened to mismatch the who has the pillow in their lap. So yes, we've heard on occasion that Francine would have a pillow in her lap, and I just happened to label the wrong photo. So one of these days it'll get adjusted. But just to keep in mind, that was, and we may hear it in later trances as well, that when Francine would come in and talk to us, using Sylvia's body, she liked having a pillow on her abdomen to help reduce the the pain that was, she would feel, because she's coming in with her morphic resonance of being in her life, a past life of Francine's. And when Raheem would come in, he would sit up and talk with us, use his hands, and he was more animated, using Sylvia's body. So, and on occasion we would hear jokes about, or his frustration about Sylvia's nails. So,
These nails.
Yes.
Because Sylvia had glorious nails.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a fun trivia note, for those that are relatively new. Um, I'm not no. You know what? We haven't heard that trance on any of these trance sessions, but years ago, apparently he had came in, started talking, and then he was like, "Oh, I want a cigarette," and started smoking, just as Sylvia had stopped smoking.
Oh,
And
no.
yeah, so you can imagine her coming back and coming to consciousness and going, who was what was that? So Raheem got in trouble for that.
That's a hot mess.
If
That's funny.
if that's actually possible. But anyway, that was the story. And to add to that, I don't know if it was the same trance. I want to think it was the same trance. He had like pulled her nails off.
Oh.
And yeah, so he got in a lot of hot water for but that was early on. And we hear about our guides are learning. Francine, had to learn when she came in, make adjustments, and so that's just part of the learning process. We got to keep our guides in line. When we get help, the kind of help we get, give them let them know what you got. Speak to them and say, "Here's what I think you gave me," or "Here's what I think you did for me."
Yes.
So they have a feedback. So just some fun.
Yes,
notes.
guides are our closest friends. And so talk to them like friends. Absolutely.
Let's see.
I had a thought. When you were
wanna
talking
share it?
about I guess.
Okay.
Oh, we've got a visitor. Here's Floofy. Oh dear. So when you were describing how Francine felt a lot of discomfort when she would come into trance because she was still carrying that morphic resonance of how
Yeah.
she passed away from a spear to the chest, I was thinking, I wonder if that's why. So I've always been perplexed of like why a soul would choose to come into a body like a couple months in utero and just like hang out and not do anything.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if maybe that's a recommended procedure to help the soul just acclimate to being in a body again, especially if there was any like difficulty from the last life. I wonder.
Potential that is a potential, but it's also it's more of from my understanding, from what I've heard, about the birthing process, and through Francine and Raheem and Sylvia talking about the birthing process, it's more acclimation. But yes, some of that, if past life things, yes, do influence you, but it's my opinion is, and because I don't recall my birth that well, it's just the acclimation. I think it's the big thing, is getting adjusted to being in this plane, in this environment.
Great. Very interesting. Very interesting. Cool. So I see we've got a few more what did you use of Novus's comments. Shall I read those, or do you want to do special prayers?
2 more.
Okay, 2 more. So Lore Robo says, God has been presenting numerous opportunities this past week for me to present their awesomeness. Awesome. I'm getting better at being confident in my knowledge. Thanks for the wisdom. I'm so happy. It's exciting when you start feeling that confidence. That's really cool. Gibson asks, Cat, do you have 2 cats? I do have 2 cats. So the one that you just saw, the big fluffy black one, that one's Floofy. and the other one is Java. Then one more. Oh, and within clarifies from earlier about her family. She says, "My family has been very receptive to Novus teachings." That's
Nice.
neat. That's
Nice.
neat. Very neat. Okay. All you, Tom. All
Thank
right.
you. So special prayers. Now it's time. We encourage everybody to take a moment, and we're gonna have a moment of silence and ask for Mother God, spirit guides, archetypes, and archangels to get out there and spread that healing energy for those that are in need. So visualize, who it is that you would like to ask for help for, and what is that outcome. And we've been reminded too that ask for the greater good. We're here to learn lessons. Everybody's here to learn lessons, but okay, maybe we can lessen the severity of the lessons while we're as part of the prayer. So let's take a moment of silence, and we're going to ask for that energy to be out there and go help. Amen.
Amen.
And of course, if you got a special prayer you like to put in, yes, we did ask for prayers for people that put prayers in the prayer chain. If you like to put in a special prayer, you can go to the website and submit that to the prayer chain. And also, be the prayer. If you see a need, fill it. Let's see. What does that say? Oh, okay. I'm like, what am I trying to read here? So we do have people on the conference call. So if you happen to be streaming challenged, because video does take bandwidth, and streaming and costs extra. If you're streaming challenged and you want to hear this while we are live, we got a phone number you can call in and listen in while others, in addition to others. That number is 888-534 2696. So you can listen live while we are live. And do appreciate that you keep muted, because that helps others have a wonderful session. And now now I guess we can do trance segments.
All right. Very cool. Also, we have Reverend Yvonne Dillsworth says hello, everybody. And we also have a hello from Joji in the Philippines. Good morning to you, Joji.
Wow. Okay.
Very cool.
Now, is that
right.
vacation or is that your residence?
We'll
find out.
we look forward to finding out. All right. So while I pull this up. So we're starting off a brand new trance, and Francine is going to talk to us about genetic research, cancer, AIDS, and MS. Diabetes is a very complicated illness. And she's going to start talking about how past life illnesses affect current illnesses and aging. It's
cool.
Interesting. Very interesting.
All right. Ready? Okay. Ready to take notes? I hope so, because here we go.
Welcome. Good evening, Francine. I'm very, very interested in talking to you tonight about some genetic research that we have begun to see. Going along with a lot of the cell memory that we have already talked about and developed. Eventually, very soon, and I think you're seeing a little bit of this in the baboon transplant of bone marrow. What you're also going to see very soon is that there is going to be miraculous. Now, this is on the medical level, and then we'll talk about the intellect and the emotional level of what we carry again through past. It's quite interesting. But you're going to see very soon that if someone has a, let's say, problem with cancer, that what they will be able to do is get a genetic type and instill or aspirate from one person a genetic code and put into the other. And by that, their genetic rejuvenation will then take over. We're going to see this in AIDS. We're going to see this in MS. We're going to see it in Lou Gehrig's. We're going to see it in almost all of the major illnesses. The one that we haven't quite figured out yet, and it's going to take some research, is the diabetics. Because diabetes is such a complex problem. And you're going to see within the next 6 months that it really is going to accelerate. You're going to hear more and more of this. The only problem is, and we touched on this a little bit last time, I'm concerned about the fact of this genetic engineering goes too far.
Yeah.
It's a strange thing in your planet, in your world, is that something good is taken and it goes to the opposite end of the spectrum. And that's a tragedy. When they start doing parts and strange and bizarre things, you see even in the Atlantean culture, especially in Lemuria, and the beginnings of Atlantean culture, they knew how to genetically transplant cells, and they did it by a type of crystal regenerative component part that was almost like a, well, they called it the silver casing. But they could almost like, by the process of osmosis, do this. Now we're still in the infantile process of being able to do this by aspiration, needles and so forth. But you're going to see very shortly within this year's time, even though it's experimental, that genetic research is going to start zooming up. And naturally, like everything else, because everything we say, everything we talk about in cell memory and morphic resonance is held within this foundation's establishment. And this is not to pull rank, but no one have the ability to go out from this place and give out this kind of information without a legal ramification. We have heard on our sides inklings of this, and if this is so, because I do not believe in anything harsh, but to protect this structure of what we talk about, no one can go out individually, because as you all well know, all of this material was started from us, and that is provable. I hate to even have to use that kind of language, but I'm concerned because there has been some rumblings of people taking this out and doing it medically or otherwise. If that is the case, then there will be some legal ramifications in this, because this is held in-house. And I take especially aspersions to this, since Sylvia was the one that first started it with morphic resonance and began to hit upon cell memory, and then we researched it from there and gave out the information. Now, we talked about this briefly at one point about birthmarks on your body. Be cognizant of birthmarks on your body. Be cognizant of even like people call age spots as you get older. We are convinced that none of this is due to aging as much as has to do with cell memory. So in other words, if you did not have a spot on your face that is now developing, it might be wise for you at night to say to yourself, whatever I'm doing this, or whatever I have done that has created this, or whatever bad situation might have happened at this age and time. Because if the mind doesn't resonate to it, your body will. What's also amazing, too, that we're beginning to find, that people age at different rates, having to do with when they died prior. Now, let me tell you how interesting this is. You, of course, know that there's such a thing as osteoporosis. You know that there is a thinning of the bone mass. You know that there can be some loss of memory as you get older. Long-term memory becomes stronger, short-term memory becomes diminished. It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way, because the more you train your mind, the more it stays. It's a muscle that can be exercised. But if you notice that at, let's say, age 40, you begin to develop an osteoporosis. Now, doctors can tell you very well that this is because you're probably genetically presupposed from your family. This is the only way they have to say, we don't understand why you at 40 and she at 90 will not. What you can do then is track back in your mind, and even if you can't see it through visualization, say if there was anything that I might have died of that had to do with bones, crushing of bones, broken neck, back problem that I might have had my spine crushed, because you must realize that most people, up until even, let's say, 80 years ago, some even, maybe even till 1913, people's lifespan was extended if they lived to 60. Prior to this, 40 was an elderly age. So the process of you having things earlier is much more feasible. And if you negate them, you won't have them. Now, the older you grow, the chances are that you might develop things that you did develop in another time if you live to be older.
Which is a fun thing to think about. You know, what one of the exercises I recall is, you know, visualize yourself in the future. What do you want to, one, think about what have you been exposed to? You know, what's your vision of getting older? And then say, wait a minute, no, you know, I want to see myself at 85 and I'm still walking healthy, cognizant, you know, eating well. You know, that's the thing, you know, put that in your mind, visualize that in your mind. You're overriding that, what you've been brought up to see. You know, if you seen a lot of you know, older family members, they, you know, depending on their likes and dislikes or their lifestyle, you know, many of them go through grueling suffering towards the end. We don't have to do that. We can choose to say, all right, I want to be happy, healthy, and for as long as I can. And one of the meditations talks about, recent meditations talks about youth. Youth. I want to say euthanizing because that sounds humorous, but I think she might have said youthing. But euthanizing sounds a little different. The wrong thing. So, anyway, my mind plays on words. So
De-aging, maybe.
thank you. Or
I don't.
you think
Rejuvenating is.
So getting yourself to she said if I recall something about if you're at age 60, think of yourself at 40. Bring that recollection of how you were at 40 forward. It was recommended don't go beyond 20 years, kind of thing. Uh, but youthing, yeah, I believe it was youthing, not euthanizing.
You think.
Youthing. Anyway, play with words, but the point is adjusting that morphic resonance, adjusting your cell memory to say no. Well, this is what I want, and um and but also back to um, um, why do we have things occur at certain times? Well, if we've had, as she was saying, why do we have these odd things that pop up in our lives at specific times? Because many times that was something that happened to us from a past life at that specific age.
Right.
So anyway, some
Right.
fun.
Yeah. I didn't realize that also applied to age spots. That was new information there. That's interesting. Because I have noticed a couple age spots where I saw something that I even went to a doctor about. Because I was like, can you look at this? Because this wasn't here a month ago. Doctor's like, no, you're fine. I promise. I was like, okay. But I was like apoplectic. I was so freaked out about that particular age spot, and which is really, really strange because I've never had that kind of reaction before. So I think that looking back on it now, I'm like, oh, the amount of anxiety that I had about this like appearance of this thing maybe could have also coincided to a past life where I had, received an injury to that area that was very upsetting at the time. So
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because my doctor was looking at me and was like, you need to calm down. Like he literally said it, like, you need to calm down. Like there is not I've never gone into a doctor like that before. I was just like out of my mind, like worried about this like little itty bitty age spot that had just appeared and was like, whatever. Anyway, it's interesting. I only have a couple of birthmarks. Do you have any birthmarks?
No, not a. But I wanted to comment on birthmarks as typically that we think of those as a past life recall or that's cell memory from a past life trauma in that location. For
Right.
most people, that's something traumatic happened to them in a past life.
Right. I just have a couple of birthmarks that are really faint, but I know some folks do have some really prominent birthmarks, and if that happens to be you, this is a good episode to listen to. So you can think about how you just learn some tools and techniques for releasing anything that might be carrying over. And it's interesting. I remember an anecdote, and you'll have to correct me on this, Tom, if you remember. It was either Sylvia or it was Angelia, but one of them said that there was a birthmark that they had gotten from a past life where they'd gotten burnt in the inner arm by a hot poker, and then the next life they had whichever person it was had the birthmark in that underarm area. But then on the life right after that, the birthmark had moved to the opposite side, to the outer arm area. And Francine's comment was like, that was the process of releasing it.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So the birthmark
I don't recall
outward.
the anecdote, but that's interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. So a couple comments, I suppose. Kristen says, my two kids have the same birthmark location. Interesting. Aaron asks, does that mean the age spots will disappear then? I have no idea. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Gibson says, I have one, but I haven't thought about it in so long. I don't remember where or what it is. Got it. Beth says, I have a birthmark on the middle of my palm on my left hand. Interesting. That's a very, very interesting place for a birthmark. Sherry says, my daughter has a birthmark that looks like a 3. Interesting.
Wow.
And Kristen says, it was past life with Sylvia released this in my daughter, and it's faded quite a bit.
Okay.
Huh. All right. Cool. Very interesting. All right. Yeah, I will say the one birthmark that I do have on my leg, it does cause me quite a bit of when I was younger, it caused me quite a bit of anxiety. I was like, I hate this. I don't like this. And so I think I'm going to do some emotional work to release it. So.
Got it. Good idea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting what pops up, what might, you might recall or be told about, the origins of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be very interesting.
It's not just external expressions of the morphic resonance. There are internal things too.
True.
If we've had issues, we had illnesses, things like that. Those can be carried forward. The goal is it's not to make us paranoid of our past lives. It's like, oh, I may have an issue, or hey, maybe I do have some morphic resonance or cell memory that I want to release. Great. Francine, to my understanding, is saying, don't go out and start charging people for this, but use it for yourself. Meditate on it. Say, okay, we've been given lots of different tools to say, okay, whatever I've carried over with me, I want it released. Ask before you go to sleep at night. Talk to the angels and say, hey, if I've got something, a cell memory or a negative cell memory or negative morphic resonance or emotional carryover, I want it released. Help me understand, and if you want to understand it, great. But also, it's like, help me release this, and you'll be surprised that what shifts in your mind, when that is identified and released. Sometimes we have to identify it. Sometimes it's sometimes that's part of the lesson, is identifying. Okay, what are you anxious about? What are you having challenges with? And ask, then ask.
Yeah, absolutely. I know for myself, I'm now kind of moving into a space where I don't need to know all the details of what happened in the past life. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just going to cause, like, if it's that traumatic, I don't want to know. like, dude, I'm good. I'm good, boo boo.
Yeah,
I'm good.
We did it once.
So I did it once. I apparently got the souvenir from it, so I don't need it.
Yeah.
So but anyway, like how I view it now is I know that I have a good eye for recognizing dangerous situations now, and that's all I need to know. I don't need to rehash anything. It's like, have I learned from, have I grown common sense out of a lot of situations from the past? Yes. So I'm good. So I would really, really rather try to keep pulling forward the good health, the good mental health, the times where we have learned skills and
exactly,
like how to be artists. Like that's what I want to pull for. Like, I don't want to remember this stuff, this traumatic stuff. No thanks. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good, boo. Anyway, so it's okay wherever you're at with it. It's totally okay wherever you're at with it. But just those are my thoughts anyway. Let's see here. Got some. I'll read maybe 3 or 4 comments.
All right.
Reverend Devon shares, I have several birthmarks. a large one on my lower abdomen where there was an A line from one side to the other. It looks
Wow.
like I had been cut or had a C-section. That is fascinating. Esteban shares, I have 2 birthmarks, one on my thigh and under my chin. I've been told that we also pick moles or defects to remind us of our imperfections and that only God is perfect. Yes, and that is beautiful.
Yes,
That's
that's a
beautiful. I love it.
that's a fun one on the other side, but um, I hadn't heard about it being used here, but I appreciate that idea. Yes, we put them here, even here. It's um, it well, I don't want to jump over. Thank you for bringing that up. That yes, on the other side, we choose whatever visage we want. We don't necessarily look like we do now in this physical body. We choose the visage that we want. That's part of our evolution, part of our choice, part of our learning. And yes, as he was expressing, that we choose some unique flaw to as a uh, honor or homage um, to my understanding, Mother and Father God, to say, okay, we're not perfect, so it's kind of a um, in honor of. We make ourselves look nice. We make ourselves, dress ourselves in whatever fashion, and we take on a visage of, whatever life that we like. Whatever influenced us the most. We dress however we want, but then we have that, which I can imagine, if color is alive over there, you can imagine all the fancy dress and attire that we would get into.
Mm-hmm.
People here, the classic women like their shoes, and I enjoy what is it, the Indian Asian Indian women in
Mm,
their bright colors, in Middle East, the bright colors of the dress. I can imagine that on the other side, how fancy things would be, but in how ornate, and because we can create perfect stuff over there, but yet we still want that little thing that says, I'm not like God, or I'm not
yeah.
that perfect.
Yeah. I think it's really sweet. It's a very sweet I love you to God.
Yeah, yeah,
It's cool. Um, well, maybe we're ready for next segment.
sure, I am.
All
Well,
right.
getting ready.
Getting ready. Okay. So, our second segment, uh, when you negate past life carryover illnesses, bring up uncomplicated prior lives. European and warlike past lives cause current stress, and the case of a hoarse voice from a past life.
Here we go.
The heritage of the American Indian was quite extensive because they lived to be very elderly. They were one of the groups that lived to be very old. We're convinced that probably more than any other group, they were not preordained by a lot of bad, what we call bad programming. Plus the fact they lived outdoors, they lived with nature, and they were very uncomplicated. I don't mean stupid, I mean uncomplicated in their survival techniques, which I think made them probably smarter. Thereby, the uncomplication of their society made them live longer. The possibility that many of you were Eskimos or Indian or what they like to refer as primitive cultures is about 100%, although I don't like the word primitive culture because it sounds like they were stupid. Let's say prior cultures and not use that primitive culture. Another group that comes right behind that is the African group. African group lived to be very elderly. This is also what we call a complicated society, uncomplicated society. Now you get into the European cultures and you get more complex. Wherever you have a condensation of houses, work abilities, people striving for what they need, what they want rather than what they need, you start getting much more into the stress factor. It's what you call in your slang terms, keeping up with the Joneses. Your ancient cultures, now, why I'm going through this long drawn out thing is when you address your body, say whatever culture I came from, that might have caused stress, whether it was European, and up until about 500 years ago, many Asian cultures were very uncomplicated. So what I would advise you to do along with your morphic resonance is when you're negating the things that you may have died of or the things that might have been what they used to call a curse to your vehicle, your body, bring up a life, which I know you've all had, of the uncomplicated creative structure of the cells in which you live, this uncomplicated prior life. This will also insulate you from taking on a lot of stress, because if you've had a lot of European lives, or you've had a lot of warlike lives, or you happen to have gotten caught in the Mongolian wars, or even Roman or Greek wars, Trojan or otherwise, you might be in for a lot more stress than the average person is. So along with checking your birthmarks and also checking your body to see what kind of strange and unfamiliar things are beginning to develop, you can also ask that whatever that is, or whatever it's trying to show you, also be diminished by your own cell memory, that it releases it. At one point, you mentioned the fact of your hoarseness. We checked on this because we found it to be somewhat a phenomena that at just about 2 months out of the year, you're pretty free of this, and the rest of the time you are, and yet we do not see nodules or nodes or any of those other strange phenomenal things that should cause that. If that were the case, you wouldn't be free of the hoarseness. In one life, you were slowly strangled. Now, this is not to make you feel bad, it's to release that. Another life, you were born without hearing, and which of course caused muteness. But you could read lips, and so what you did was you tried to form words and whisper them out because you didn't know that you had a vocal cord. Those two lives coming together at a certain point of your life, which looks like this probably hit or began to hit about 5 years ago, was what was the cause of when that happened. You see what I mean? So instantaneously at that point in which you were strangled, and then a life right after that at almost the same point in time, you became aware that you were deaf and that other people talked, and you began to speak like, I mean, it was sort of very, people maybe couldn't understand you that much, but you certainly in that day and time, not knowing that there was any kind of vibration you could do to your throat. So those two together created the hoarseness. So what I would do is when you go to bed at night, say, this phenomena is ended now. I have released the strangulation, which was a very slow process. If a person is hung and a table or a chair is kicked out from under, their neck breaks. But to be strangled by just hanging is quite a long process because a person suffocates slowly. I don't mean to be graphic, but I think the more graphic one is and the more truth hits the soul, then what difference does it make? It's like, let's release you from it. Because rather than you trying to do mints and lozenges and spray and embarrassing, that you feel embarrassed by the fact that people are always saying, what's wrong with your voice? For instance, Enid's vocal cords were strained by auction for so many years, and because she has a very sensitive vocal cord system. But she also had her throat slashed, her windpipe. Sylvia's is been, because all through so many of her life she's been an orator. And orators, by rights, have what they call preacher's throat. And so, although genetically her son has picked it up and her granddaughter, it has a little hoarse voice. So they all see. But see, now what geneticists would say is they've inherited the same voice. Her sister has her voice, her mother has her voice, and Sylvia has a very hoarse voice. In Sylvia's case, though, maybe it's because we pick certain things, and I'm concentrating on the throat, but I will, through this next session, go through the different ailments of the body, is to have your windpipe cut, your throat slashed, many years as an orator, being strangled, the throat takes a beating. Also find out if you're very susceptible to tonsillitis, strep throat, gland infections, everything from the neck up. The chances are the trauma was to the throat. Do you see what I'm saying? So release that in the name of the Holy Spirit. God the Father, take it away. Mother Asna, intercede. Christ consciousness, come and do the healing. We've talked a lot about the chest area and how hearts get broken, as Sylvia says, and thereby the person actually brings that in. But yet you hear lots of people talking about broken hearts and they don't have a heart attack. But I think it's very smart not to use those organic terms because the body assimilates this.
Who's the pain in the neck? What didn't you get off your chest? Yeah, so
Yeah.
when you've got frustrations, I think she was reminding us that don't talk in those terms, and keep track of the thoughts that go through your mind as well. Of many times this is what generates the ailments, is the thoughts that go through our mind of what we learn. Okay, emotional stress. So that's a pain in the neck, or or
He broke my heart. He
Yeah.
broke my heart. He broke
Yeah.
my heart.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
He makes me sick.
There's another fun one. Yeah.
They make me crazy.
Yep. That's gonna kill me.
It's gonna kill me. What are some others? Go ahead and post in chat if you can think of some others, because I try to avoid these like the plague.
Yeah. So, and it's a fun thing. We're just expressing it to get it out and say, here are the ways that we don't want to be expressing our frustrations on a regular
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah,
And it's for each of us. We if we catch ourselves saying these things, oh hey, guess what? That's something. Yes, you can be frustrated. Yes, you can express it. It's just don't use body verbiage.
Yeah, it's a difference between using internalizing language versus externalizing language. So, like an externalizing language would be like, all right, you're driving me up the wall. Because that's different. That's using imagery and symbols and like nouns that are outside of yourself, versus
I'm frustrated with
I'm
this
frustrated.
situation. Yeah.
I'm really frustrated with this situation. Yeah. Your choices are making me angry. Like that is accurate language, and that's perfectly healthy to say.
Or just scream out loud. Just like,
yeah, absolutely.
This is nuts.
Absolutely.
This isn't helpful.
Absolutely.
This isn't helping me move forward. This is what's the lesson? Why am I having to deal with this? And yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, some folks are posting some colorful language that's in chat, which is funny. I won't repeat them. Won't repeat them over, but yeah, pain in the behind could
Yeah.
could give you hemorrhoid sort of issues and whatnot. Yeah, language is very, very powerful, and our minds and our bodies are very literal. Very literal. I remember Sylvia talking one time about a woman who kept saying, "He broke my heart, he broke my heart, he broke my heart." And Sylvia was saying, "Stop saying that. You're going to, get yourself into some issues." And that woman ended up needing to be into, bypass surgery in a couple months. Yeah. Interesting conversation, though. Very interesting conversation. And it's interesting that Francine was kind of pointing out how she's trying to say, like, okay, so you have this recurring issue or this recurring area. So when she's talking about the throat, she's like, that could look like hoarseness. That could look like tonsillitis that keeps happening, continual throat.
Thyroid.
Yeah, thyroid issues or throat colds. So just like all sorts of ailments that always sort of affect the same area, same system. That is, Francine is saying that's a clue. So, if you're listening to this and you're, trying to think about how to apply it to your own life, just ask yourself, like, do you have a certain area of your body or a certain system of your body that tends to get a variety of different issues, like all at once? And
Whether
that can
it gets
give you
hurt or gets ailment or gives you trouble.
Right. For myself, I'm just now realizing I had a couple of different issues that flare up under situations of inflammation, like body inflammation. And I remember her talking in the past about how inflammation can be related to having infections in your past life. So that gives me a route to go towards. To release any past life cell memory related to having had infections in a past life.
They get under my skin.
Get under my skin. Yeah. Trying to think of others. Makes me want to pull my hair out. I don't know. Interesting. Reverend Yvonne shares, thoughts are things and words are very powerful. Everything starts in the mind and then will manifest in the body.
Gotcha. Thank you for that.
So I suppose I'll read a couple comments. Ramona says, "Wow, that really brought back memories." Interesting. Kristen says, "Your voice and words are very powerful. Use good verbiage." Definitely. Ramona says, "This helped me to be able to do these and release." Great. Really great. And Erin shares, "You would think that would be an old wives' tale, but instead it's actually directly connected. When you say those things that someone broke your heart or it's pain in the butt." Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. So the one, I just remembered the one that affects me, is if I start feeling like my life is falling apart or I'm coming apart. Like that's the thought that has impacted me. I'll start getting really loose joints, which is really random. It's super random.
Yeah.
And I'll say,
No,
and so
I'll
say, I need to pull myself together. That's literally what I have to say to myself. Dude, pull yourself together. I'm like, all right. It knocks it out.
I recall the phrase like that. I'm falling apart, or things are falling apart.
Things are falling
my
apart.
life
Yeah.
is falling apart. But it's fun that you say, "Oh, I need to pull myself back together." But um, um, yeah, that's like opposing that. But
Yeah, a hot
yeah,
mess.
it's like I need to maybe relieve some stress. That would be.
To release some stress. It's true. It's true.
uh,
Oh man, it's funny. All right. Do you have any other thoughts about what we were listening to?
nope.
Okay. I think maybe we're ready for our last segment.
I will be.
Okay. I will start reading the notes for this then. Here we go. So, people over the age of 40 tend to all have enlarged hearts. Okay. Examples of different past life traumas affecting current health. How a bad romance in past life affects us now. And if someone doesn't want you, then leave them alone and don't chase them.
Gotcha.
Alrighty.
All right. Here we go.
All right.
People with that kind of problems can be speared many times in the heart, not alone having in this life their heart broken. They can be in a culture in which, in one case, I've seen that they lived in a very high altitude, and people in high altitudes, as everyone does, but they do it earlier, have enlarged hearts. And that they have a tendency to bring about more problems. Although what's amazing is the Peruvians who live in very high altitudes don't seem to have a problem. I never go against the medical profession, but I will in this one case. Any of you that are ever told at any point that you have an enlarged heart, I want you to scoff, because anyone after the age of 40, if you walk or move or breathe, are going to have a larger heart. Mm-hmm. So doctors have a tendency in saying you have an enlarged heart. The only time you worry about it is if you have a heart the size of a chicken. Then you worry. But the chances of all of you in this room that are over 40, I bet right now, if you were to take a check on your heart, you would see that your heart is what they call enlarged, or bigger than it was when you were 16. Be rational. A heart is a muscle. Mm-hmm. And the more you live and the more you work it. Yes. Kathleen has a cough because she died 2 lives in tuberculosis. And that's why you've had the cough from such an early age. Because at the age of 9, in one life, you died of tuberculosis. Another life, you died in Bavaria of diphtheria. So all that has to do with neck, chest. You had your legs and knees run over by a cart, crushed. You were in a wheelchair. So you see how much this is begins to bloom into something more. And I mean, I could go through each one of you. I'm using you as examples, but I know you all know where your different maladies are. Kim had a type of early polio in a past life, and that's why she's had to fight her glandular system so much. Because it hit the glands, it atrophied the glands, and you were always, what should I say, malingering because of it. Then in one life you got a type of malaria, you got a typhus, and you lived through it. And that's why for a while you had such a problem with water retention, because I don't know whether you realize it or not, but people with malaria or any kind of illness like malaria, polio, liver disturbance, their glands become affected and water is retained because people a lot of times when the organs are inflamed go into a type of uremic poisoning. You didn't die of it, but you fought it, but it still left you very weak and very Sickly is a good word. So, in this knowledge of whether too thin, too heavy, knees bad, heart bad, neck out of whack, it's very much like your neck being in bad shape. You were guillotined in a life. Yes, yes, yes. And I think the trauma of, and what happened was they put your neck in the guillotine, and then they decided to change executioners. And the other one was in what they call the ale shop, finishing up, and you had to sit in the hot sun with your neck in that hole, waiting for the knife to fall for 30 minutes. I mean, the cruelty of that must have been excruciating. Not the death, but just sitting there, especially bound, kneeling in that position for that long with your neck in that. No wonder your neck went out. So the guillotine wouldn't have done it, but kneeling there in that hot sun with the jeering crowd and the drunken revelers and people throwing bottles and whatever else they had that they threw, or rocks. And not because they hated you, it was just because it was part of they thought you were part of the bourgeoisie, which you weren't. And that's what's a tragedy with many, many people that were guillotined were not part of the rich. They were just pushed on the carts. And now, taken into your personal life, this also leaks over like an ink blot. It runs to the point of that, let's say, in a past life, that you were a nun, or that you were a spinster, or you were a priest, or you were a person who was a very lone sea captain, or whatever. In this life, it may very well affect your personal relationships. So the morphic resonance goes very, very far. Let's say you have an unrequited love affair. You know in this life how much you can be damaged from a love affair that doesn't work out. We'll take that into 2 or 3 lives and see how the morphic resonance then brings about a paranoia, a carpishness, a hatefulness, a diminished self-esteem, too much submissive, slavery, all those things come into play. Also, with poverty, having a life in which we're impoverished, having a life with too much money. Although the negatives seem to stick with us more when we go from life to life. The impoverishedness, the fear of starving to death because of poverty, and then eating everything you can get your hands on to make sure you won't starve in a past life. Mm-hmm. Or if somebody does put you out in desert, you'll be able to live off your girth for the next 3 months. This affects body structure, this affects mental ability, this affects spiritual, this affects social. And so I know we keep talking about the cell memory of the physiological body, but we've now got to address all the things that happen to us in our social and personal feelings towards people that are affected by the morphic resonance of the mind, that makes us suspicious, that makes us frightened, that makes us keep picking the same patterns of people who are, I guess you call them losers to you, people that take you, people who use you, manipulate you, because if you've been used to being, let's say, not only in a celibate society, but in a very manipulative society, guess what? The first person you meet in this life that shows you attention, you're a child in a candy store. And so to bring up the estimation of yourself, the responsibility of yourself, use it on a wide term of letting go of anything that you feel is a burden to you, or that you're creating a burden to someone else. And more than anything in this world, If someone does not want you, leave them alone. Please have the righteous dignity and self-estimation not to chase after someone who keeps saying no. That can't be very spiritually bright.
Which, to me, that's the insecurity, and the uh, not letting somebody go, not somebody that's walking away, and you're saying no, come back here, come back here. That's the insecurity of don't go away, don't leave me, don't. Well, that's something we need to work on for ourselves, and say, okay, where does that come from? Why do I feel that way? Why do I do that?
Yeah, I know what has helped me to break that pattern for myself, because I've done that where I felt like I loved somebody so much that I couldn't live with, like, I wouldn't be able to live without that, like, just really, really, really intense love. So what helped me break that was and to make sure that I don't get into that situation again was this concept of a karmic dome that Francine talked about one time, where someone can start putting so much of their energy and effort into living the other person's life, any other person's life, instead of their own. And that helped me start to get an awareness of where exactly it is that I'm tending my garden. Am I only tending the garden of somebody else, or am I also loving and appreciating the garden that I have of my own life? And I know for me that was very, very helpful. And she said that it's difficult to get out of somebody's karmic dome once you're in it, but essentially what happens is that you are living parallel to, like, their chart instead of your own. And so it's just an extremely uncomfortable and unsettling situation, and you end up feeling very, very weak, and you're wondering, like, God, why am I like this? Why am I, what is wrong with me? I don't, because on one hand you really love feeling the love, and at the other hand you also are saying, like, you kind of know, like, this is not a good situation to be in, like having this like intense insecurity pattern like playing out.
Yeah.
And so just if you are in a situation like that, or you ever get into a situation like that, just breathe and start watering your own garden, and start loving your own life and making space for yourself. And that will give you the foundation to be able to have healthy relationships where you feel confident, and it's a confident love instead of love that feels very, very, very shaky. So
yeah, the insecure relationship isn't necessarily a loving relationship. It's I gotta, wanna, I can't live
not
without.
always.
And then you're not how do you say, the perfect person for the other person either.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but realizing that, yes, you can adjust yourself and be that. One way to think of it is a common way to think of it is be that for others that you would like for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Interesting.
Any fun, more fun comments or
Reverend Devon shares, great session tonight. Sylvia's book, Past Life, Future Healing, contains a lot of the same information. Very interesting read.
Thank you for sharing.
And Yvonne also follows up by saying, that's so sad. I had to stop falling for eye candy and go for someone with high intellect. It's a hard lesson to learn. Girlfriend, yeah. I hear you. Oh, man. It's funny. Ramona shares, excellent session today. Thanks for sharing this information. Much love to all. And Laura Roba says, love the information. I'll challenge myself to be helpful to spread truth of Father God and Mother God this next week. Much I love. That's fantastic. I think that's a wonderful goal, and I will do the same.
Fun.
Cool.
Any others? I know there's a lot of stuff going by. I don't get to see much, but on occasion I browse through when I'm checking another computer.
I think that's basically it. Oh, I see one more. Gibson is laughing, and then Aaron shares, thanks for the tips on love.
All right.
Hey,
All right.
we were all in this one together trying to figure that one out.
Cool. All right. Are we that leaves us for
For
or leads us,
meditation.
for a meditation. And so
All right.
pull that out of here. For those of you that want to participate, we encourage you to sit with your feet flat on the floor and your palms upward on your lap to get that wonderful grace and healing energy. And for those of you that need to pay attention to what you're doing, don't pay attention to us, but by all means come back and listen to these wonderful meditations in the on-demand. And now you have a choice. You can go to Facebook or YouTube and look for the on-demand. Let's see. Otherwise, it's like, okay, here we go. We're going to enjoy a meditation.
Find yourself a comfortable place to sit with your feet flat on the floor and your palms upward on your lap. Now, take 3 deep breaths to start relaxing the mind and the body. Now, close your eyes when you are ready.
Healing embrace. I want to take you on a journey. Surround yourself with the purple light, the royal color of spirituality. Both you and I are asking for rows upon rows of people to all come around you in a circle, to bless and care for you, your spirit guides, the archetypes, everyone whom you've ever loved and who has loved you, whether in your past lives or this one, your dear pets who have passed on, children that you've lost, fathers or husbands who you think are not there. A mist appears and hangs heavily around you. You're a little afraid to walk because you can't see far in front of you. Much like this life. However, you feel warm hands on you and the love of a mother or grandmother who comes back. You feel them press you to move forward. All these people surround you now, and you are standing in a beautiful meadow. The love emanating from this group is such a strong force that you're actually borne up by it, and you float freely above the circle, enjoying unconditional love and nurturance. In the meadow, you can see white maned horses frolicking in the distance among trees, bearing luscious fruit and profusely flowering bushes. You feel the desire to be closer to all those who surround you, so you float down and feel their warmth, their loving hands, the touching you, pulling you close in embraces. You feel the physical warmth of love. A green light seems to emanate from them. It heals you. Sweeping up slowly and thoroughly from the bottom of your feet all through every area of your body to your head. Feel your father's arms around you. Feel your mother's kiss soft on your cheek. Feel your spouse hold you in his arms. Feel your brother come up beside you and lay his hand on your shoulder. Speak to them. Breathe in the fresh meadow air, scented with wildflowers. Now return to your body and look straight ahead. Notice how revitalized you feel. Each time you do this, I promise you, you will be healed completely.
Now, on the count of 3, come all the way back. 1, 2, 3. Fully and totally alert.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, talk about rejuvenating and releasing and oh my goodness.
Now I really want to go smell wildflowers.
Where are we? Oh, that's coming in the spring, yes. Or you
Yeah.
can do what we did once is you get a backyard of dirt and don't want to do anything with it, so you get a bucket of wildflower seeds and throw it out the back
That's
door.
so smart. Oh, that's so smart.
Well, it grew weeds is what it did, but they were colorful weeds. That was
We'll take it. It's great.
now, granted, you know you're in an apartment. I was some apartments have back patios, and when I lived in an apartment years ago, my first wife and I lived on a where were we? I can't remember. No, we were downstairs. So our neighbor also had, we all had patios. Well, the concrete went out, from the building maybe 6 feet, and then there was like 5 feet to the back fence of the patio space. And one of our neighbors was a gardener, worked in a gardening company and brought home, the rolls of lawn and put a little extra dirt out and made a 5 foot by 10 foot swatch of grass in the backyard on the patio. He wanted his backyard. So I thought, oh,
That's
well,
great.
for you guys, you could throw some dirt out your back patio and throw wildflower seeds on the back patio. And hey, there you go. Water it and see what comes up.
See what happens.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, those California poppies find the most incredible places to grow. Like, they will find a way, and they are my favorite. I lose my mind whenever I see them. They're bright, bright orange.
Yeah.
Bright orange. Amazing. Just gonna throw some dirt. It's great.
Just don't pick them up.
Okay.
Because I think they're still supposedly it's still well, okay. The idea in my head is it's still legal to pick those things.
Oh.
It's like the California flower, but I think it was just to discourage people from using it for another purpose. But I was always told that it's illegal to pull the California poppy.
I didn't know that.
Leave it where it is.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I never pick flowers anyway, but good to know.
Otherwise, if you have questions about what we shared, feel free to post in chat or email us questions to cat@novus.org. And of course, we appreciate the listeners, both live and on demand. Show your appreciation for New Spirit Radio by sharing, promoting, liking, and subscribing. Also, you can check out our websites, novus.org, sylviabrowne.com, chrisrightnow.com. If you're a Facebook fiend, you can go to Society of Novus Spiritus, Sylvia Browne Group, New Spirit Radio, and yeah, we do have one of those, don't we? That one should get eliminated. It had its purpose, but hey, we're over here. And of course, there are many Novus Spiritus study groups that you can participate in. YouTube, we happen to have Society of Novus Spiritus, and Chris Dufresne has his psychic awareness. Yes, he's been posting, so go check out some of the posts that he's got, and some of the fun shorts that are being shared as well. Wow, study groups. Yep, if you want to donate and get something in return, start a study group. You'll learn more about the philosophy and lots of other fun information. If you want to get something and donate, go to Amazon Smile and tell them you want to donate to Society of Novus Spiritus. Sunday services. Get your email onto the Novus website and you'll get an invitation to the live special Zoom service hosted by Reverend Ellen Schloss. Also, I should be posting. No, I'm prepping this weekend and posting the next weekend. Another Sunday service on YouTube and Facebook for those
Yay.
to share and feel a part of. For everyone else, hey, that's here in live or whether you're listening in the on demand, novena time. Let's see. So this is a special prayer ceremony, and for those of you that are new, we all at the same time. I'm just going to lead it. All at the same time, we're all going to say the phrase, "I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God." And we're going to say that phrase 3 times together. And after each session, I'll let you know what we want to ask for. So imagine, no, image, visualize.
Visualize.
Thank you. Visualize that we're all in the same room together, regardless of how big you think it needs to be. We're all holding hands, making this big, huge circle, because our energy is going round and round and helping each other out, and getting that special prayer energy out. So here we go. Follow along and say it with me. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. So now ask for things for yourself. Okay, here we go. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now, ask for things for others. Okay, and the last one. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now, picture our light going out like a beacon for others seeking this spiritual knowledge, and we get to help educate them. Cool. Let's see.
Beautiful.
So let's see. What do you want to be appreciative of? Yeah, think of something that you want to be appreciative of. What did the Novus philosophy provide for you, or what did you get a prayer answered, or were you surprised by being presented something? So yes, we want to keep in mind something that we're appreciative of, but also show your appreciation to Francine and Rahim for researching all of this wonderful knowledge. Sylvia for coming to this insane asylum of the universe to start this movement, and for showing us how to get some peace of mind and grace while we're here. Of course, Asna for helping us and protecting us while we're here, and Father God for providing the most prestigious school for us to experience, learn, and satisfy your unique spark of curiosity. I want to recognize Bob Ingold for helping with some of the music and some of the graphics, and Sammy and Javon for the wonderful intro-outro music. For the show, writing, setup, and hosting is MIT Catherine Taylor. Editing, technical direction, and hosting is Reverend Tom Bigley. And now, a prayer by Sylvia. Which I gotta find somewhere here. Really? Okay, I guess so. All right.
Prayer to our beloved Mother God Asna. My beloved Asna, let your mantle surround us and protect us. Our Mother, we address you as a miracle worker, the glorious vehicle of intercession and healing support. We petition you as a queen and guardian of the world to bring your grace and beneficence into our lives. We adore and honor you as a companion of our blessed Creator, God the Father. We accept you as a counterpart of our creation and give our hearts and souls to you in service. We know you can help us fulfill our preordained chart for our own perfection. We also know that we may petition you for our needs and desires. Please state your petitions here. Dearest glorious Mother, Queen of the universe, our love is endless and our devotion is unwavering. Protect us from the failings of our own egos. Protect us from the negativities of life and the darkness that can surround us. Let your life of emotional understanding be a reflective shield against any evil. If we fail to remember you each day, dearest Mother, remember us and be waiting for us at the end of our lives so we can behold your glorious countenance. We ask this in the name of the Mother, Father, and Christ consciousness. Amen.
And Kat's going to tell us.
Be kind to yourself and enjoy your Halloween with lots of love and laughter.
And candy.
Happy Halloween. Good night.
As if you were not there. All praise went to the Father. We were so unaware that through the years you've shed your tears for all the pain we bear. Oh, Asna, how we love you. Place no one above you. Always thinking of you. Bless your name. You are Mother God. You've planted every blade of grass, Creator of the stars. And when I'm feeling down and out, you mend my broken heart. So now I sing this song of thanks because of who you are. Oh, Asna, how we love you. Father God.